how do you feel about the sort of the job that the media is doing now in getting out important information and, in sort of educating the public about environmental issues? Is there...
I think that climate change has really been, maybe the great example of media failure. Mm-hmm. I mean, there have been a couple of others too. The housing bubble and the war in Iraq come to mind also. But at least once it became very clear what was going on, those mistakes were kind of rectified,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Not so with climate. The fact that an astonishing percentage of people remain ignorant of the basic facts, understanding of the most important thing that's ever happened, mm-hmm. is a pretty strong indictment of, I'm afraid, of our media. Mm-hmm. And we're not doing as good a job as the media in other parts of the world, where people have a much clearer understanding. Who knows quite why that is? Part of it's enshrined in the, in the tenets of our approach, which is that, news stories must be balanced, even well past the day when there's any real balance to be had, Part of it probably reflects the enormous power of the fossil fuel industry to get its story constantly out. Its financial power is so great that it tends to, like a giant star, kind of warp the gravity of everything around it.
What are your thoughts on how the sort of digital revolution has affected both, information getting out and active?
And clearly, we've been pretty good at that. The number and spread of things that we've been able to arrange using it is pretty phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But the things we arrange happen in the real world, have real consequences. You can invite real foreign ministers and Sunday schools and whatever to come take part in them. Mm-hmm. Then we're quite good too. I think the other great use of the web is taking the results of those things, in our case, a series of images,
right,
and using them to let everybody see that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Mm-hmm. But I think to be wary about online activism as a replacement for activism is correct. Mm-hmm. But it would also be crazy not to use the set of tools that we have, partly because we no longer have the array of institutions in our society that we once did. Mm-hmm. If one was dependent on, say, churches for doing activism, the way that, as he points out, the civil rights movement very much was, one would be in trouble because a much, much, much smaller percentage of Americans go to church, and they're mostly much, much older.
It seems like, completely anecdotally, it seems like the 10-10-10 working groups got less press than the 350 demonstrations did.
I think they got less press, more TV, but less press in this country. Mm-hmm. And probably more press in the rest of the world.
Oh, interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think because American reporters are always hard-pressed to cover climate change.
Yeah.
It distresses them because they're going to get a lot of, flack from ideologues about it. Mm-hmm. And as a result, only when things really fit into an easy, broad narrative do they get covered. So last year when we did this, we were 6 weeks before Copenhagen. so everybody was writing stories that began in the lead up to the UN talks in Copenhagen. And there's no obvious context this year. In the rest of the world, people are just interested that there's a big, broad movement going on.